All right, so me and you, we're sitting on this porch. It's summer. It's nice and hot. We're having some adult bevies. We're having a couple beverages. I might be having, probably usually light beer. I'm kind of a basic bitch out there when I'm having beer. But, we're having a couple drinks. We're talking about our recruiting agencies, how successful we've been. And a kid approaches us. He's 14 years old, and he wants to start his own business. He heard from people in the neighborhood that we are business owners ourselves. And he says, hey, Eric and your name. He says, I'm going to start a lawn mowing business. There's a lot of people in the next neighborhood, a lot of kids. I see them getting, pretty ballin' new football jerseys, and they got concert tickets. I want to build my own business and start balling out in the neighborhood and maybe get a new bike. And he's going to start a lawn mowing business. So he's got the lawnmower. He has to borrow our weed whacker. We give it to him because we're great. We want to see other people succeed. And he starts saying, what's some advice that you could give me? And he says, here's my business model. Here's what I'm going to do. So all these other people are mowing lawns and getting paid for it, or have other businesses, maybe lemonade stands, whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to go to these people and say, I'm going to mow your lawn. If it's not as good as the industrial landscaping business that you're already using, adults with huge pieces of equipment, they're great at edging the lawns, they're incredible at putting fertilizer, whatever, they're so good at what they do. I'm going to let these people know that you only pay me unless I do it better than them after the job is done. And he says, I already found 15 people that have agreed to this. So it's contingency based. So I think where I'm going with this. It's very similar to recruiters. He comes back to us a week later and he says, I did 15 lawns and I only got paid for one. So first thing here is it's a win because he made a little money. He learned something from that experience. But if we're going to give him honest feedback, we're going to tell him, hey, kid, you can't be going out there. If you're going to be contingency based, the hardest thing about that type of business is when you close somebody, when you find a prospective buyer or a house owner, you got to make sure that they're going to end up paying you for your services, because if you close 15 houses, you have to allocate services to the houses. You have to spend time on those houses if you're going to mow them. So if you're going to continue down this path of contingency-based services, you got to make sure that you raise your likelihood of getting paid. And maybe this way of starting his business is a bad analogy. Maybe he gets paid 3 times as much as another kid who mows a lawn, right? Or something. There's got to be a big payout at the end, like recruiting agency owners. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is the kid who has started his own lawn mowing business is I see a lot of people just flexing their $5 million pipeline out there. And a lot of times you see that $5 million pipeline and they only made $7,000 this month or $11,000. You might as well get a full-time role working 40 hours a week in the recruiting space if that's going to be all you're making is the $7,000, because you can easily make 6 figures and get a base salary in the recruiting space and not have to deal with working 80, 90 hours a week and having the stress of the business. It's a lot better to have a pipeline that has clients in it that, again, are more likely to pay you. So clients that candidates really want to work for. Whenever I get an AI company or just a fast growth software company that just raised $75 million, they have a good leader, they have a good reputation. The work that I do with sourcing candidates just goes a lot better. I always get paid at a much higher rates. I'm making more placements. It's just a lot easier. If you're just closing whoever, you're sending out automation and you're getting bites and you're closing contracts, now you have to allocate your time to those clients. And what you're going to find, and what a lot of people do find, is they do a ton of work for little return. So a pipeline is very important to pay attention to, yes. But what salespeople mean when they're talking about pipelines is when I was in software sales, I would reach out to Disney. I would reach out to Expedia. I would reach out to IBM. You would call in, try to generate these relationships and try to set up a demo for the software. It would be $500,000 or $1 million for them. They would have 200, 500 users or whatever, enterprise system. So you get them on, you show them the demo of the software. You know that this deal with any large company is going to take like 6 to 18 months. Next, you would travel out there, have a meeting, meet a lot of the team, pitch the product to more of the team, chat with procurement, a lot of the departments to make sure it's the right decision. And in 12 months from now, we may be having a sales meeting and I'll say, I have a $50 million pipeline. So I have 27 accounts in this pipeline that started 12 months ago. So they're right in the closing window, 12 to 18 months. Here's the value of that pipeline. And I know from that perspective, that probably 10 to 20% of these deals are going to close. That's going to equate to a certain amount of money. 1 month I may close 0. Next month I may close 10. Next month I may close 3. But we know a certain percentage over the course of the year will close as long as my pipeline keeps growing and getting bigger and I'm pitching more companies. In the recruiting space, this is absolutely not the case. When you're talking about pipelines, the biggest problem is it's like selling the software and me having that book of prospective clients, Disney, ABC, Expedia, and then me taking everybody in the company, customer success, the software engineers, and taking that service and applying it to all of those clients. It's crazy, and it's even crazier if the quality of those clients isn't good, if the likelihood of them paying me isn't very good. So in the sales space, a lot of BDRs will be working, a lot of entry-level salespeople, setting up those meetings for AEs. And account executives will say a lot of times this entry-level guy is amazing. All the demos are great. They're all decision makers. They're high likelihood of getting to the next stage. A lot of people will set up demos with businesses that are just not big enough. It's like 500 people. They don't have the budget. And if your pipeline is full of those people, it doesn't matter who you are at the other end. It's going to be a waste of time. It doesn't matter how good of a salesperson you are. It is a waste of time. So in recruiting, what you need to make sure of is don't get blinded by a huge pipeline of opportunities. You need to focus on high quality clients. And if they're all very high quality clients and you have a massive pipeline, you're golden. And especially if they're all duplicate roles. So if you have 57 of the same exact role and you go and you do a day of work sourcing candidates and you find 10, the likelihood of you making money off of those 10 is incredible. So don't get caught up in pipeline stuff. A lot of times, like I said, it's a lot better to have 1 or 2 incredible clients, especially at the beginning, who keep you paid than running around like a chicken with their head cut off, working on too many roles.